En esta película, esta es su tercera película en la historia, es una gran película, y es Sam Claflin. Y nos acompaña también la protagonista de la película, ella da vida a Blancanieves. Creo que ustedes la conocen muy bien, se ha convertido en un fenómeno, sobre todo en las películas adolescentes, y es Kristen Stewart. Welcome, guys. Nice to have you here in Mexico. Thank you. So I think I would like to start. Tell me when you're ready, when you have. ¿Pueden por favor dejar de tomar fotos celulares para empezar la conferencia? Gracias. Are you ready? Yeah, you ready for the translation? So I would like to start this conference by asking you guys, this is a totally different version of what we've heard about Snow White. So what would you say is the biggest twist and what makes really different this version from other versions we've seen before?
Everyone thinks that we're taking Snow White and really turning it on its head and doing something really dark and twisted. We are. But at the same time, I think that we do stay really true to who you imagine Snow White to be classically. We have a full-on, in-your-face action movie that is also so unbelievably enchanting and beautiful. And at the forefront of the story, you have a girl who is a girl, not who's pretending to be a boy. It's like, you know, to be a really strong female character nowadays, I think that a lot of them are just written as loud and like a really lame imitation of a guy. And I think that we have the coolest, like the most sort of original and modern way of doing an action movie about a girl. And I really love that. What do you think, Sam?
I mean, we basically just reinvented this classic tale that everyone's sort of grown up with, whether you're a 4-year-old woman or a 10-year-old boy. I think everyone has read Snow White, and what we've done, we've reinvented the classic characters that everyone knows, and I suppose you could say we've made them a lot darker. Everyone has, there's so many layers to each character. No one's one-dimensional. Everyone has been on a journey when you meet them for the first time. And I think what's incredible with the director, the way he's approached it is he's created this fantastical world that, I think does the story very, a lot of justice, and it's made it a lot more accessible to the modern audience.
I mean, with a story that's so fundamental about good and evil, you need to be able to show the dark to make the light gorgeous. It's like not watered down. We take Snow White just as you know her and kick the crap out of her, stomp on her heart, and like put it back in her chest and see if it still beats. And it does.
When you first got the script, were you expecting that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you read stuff, the whole thing as an actor is you want to get as close to that experience as you possibly can. With a big, huge, universal, expensive movie, typically, like, my thought was that we would have to fake it quite a bit, and Rupert put us in a world that, like, we had the most real elements to respond to, and I was freezing and uncomfortable and in pain and scared the whole time. And anytime you see that, to watch genuine experience on screen is so much more interesting than people faking it, and that's Rupert, that's definitely the director.
¿Les parece si pasamos con las preguntas? La primera pregunta es de Rosa Barca de TV Azteca.
Agachada, por favor.
Sí, tiene traducción si quieres.
¿Se pueden sentar, por favor?
Sentada, por favor.
Kristen, tú tienes fans alrededor de todo el mundo, te siguen a través de Twitter y muchos han pedido que tú tengas un Twitter. ¿Por qué no darles ese gusto a los fans? Esa es una pregunta. Y la segunda pregunta, ¿qué opinas del contacto con la prensa? ¿Lo ves más, te gusta estar ante las cámaras, hablar con los reporteros o es más una obligación para ti?
Sentada, por favor.
Siéntate, por favor.
¿Se pueden sentar?
Gracias.
I think the most interesting thing about me right now is that Snow White is coming out, and I think it's really weird when actors suddenly start to believe that they're so interesting and so awesome that they're worth selling. I don't have a problem with Twitter, I don't have a problem with social media. If I wasn't in this position, I would probably have one. It's just, well, maybe not on Twitter. But I just think that as soon as you start giving things away that are so very yours, you don't know who you are anymore. It's like, and no, this doesn't bother me. Like right now, this makes total sense to me. I'm so excited to be talking about what I'm talking about. I mean, this movie is like, it is everything I wanted it to be, and that is so rare. You know, when you start off something, you usually make excuses or concessions. You go, okay, well, we did the best we could, and it retains this spirit, and it has this, but this is everything I wanted it to be when I set out to do it. And so, to be sitting here talking about it, like I'm like vibrating. I'm so excited about it. But if you started asking me about like what I did on my Sundays, I'd be like, why? Why do you care? I do what you do. Like.
Muy bien, siguiente pregunta es de René Gómez de Telefórmula. René. ¿Dónde estás?
La primera para ambos. ¿A qué edad fue su primer contacto con esta historia de Blancanieves y qué les dejó en lo personal? Y la segunda es para Kristen, que hoy en la prensa salió de que a su llegada ignoró a algunos fans que se encontraban en el aeropuerto. Entonces, ¿qué realmente pasó? Y esto.
Les agradecería que intentaran no hacer preguntas de ese tipo porque estamos aquí para hablar de la película, por favor.
You go first.
Okay, my first introduction to the story was basically my parents bought me and my three brothers this book of fairy tales, which wasn't, you know, the ordinary book of fairy tales. It was called The Twisted Tales. So it's basically all these classic fairy tales, you know, the Disney, whatever, everyone knows and loves with all their pretty flowers. But basically, this version was very gruesome, had a lot of blood and gore. And you know, I was about 7 years old or something. I remember reading Cinderella specifically, and you know, at the end of the fairy tale in this book, the prince finds out that Cinderella wasn't actually a princess and she was a maid, so he chops her head off. So I mean, I kind of grew up with the darker version, the darker retellings of these stories. So once, you know, I had the opportunity to read this script and, you know, meet Rupert, and he kind of talked me through his ideas and showed me a lot of the imagery that he kind of wanted to, you know, get across. I was, you know, I felt like I kind of lucked out, you know. I felt I'd really sort of found my true path in this career. I think that's everything. Yeah.
I feel so far away from you right now. It's like, where are we? I was not familiar with the fairy tales growing up. I knew Snow White from Disney movies. Princess stories were not my favorite, to be honest. I remember watching it, but like I had to rewatch the movie just out of curiosity before we went to London to shoot. So I wasn't rediscovering anything. It made sense to me why the stories lasted so long, but it wasn't something that was striking a chord with me because of what I grew up with. And, you know, it's a funny thing with me and my fans. They all just think I'm such a jerk. No. I think they get it. I think when we came in yesterday at the airport, it was like there were police everywhere. If they think that if I choose my way through airports, sadly mistaken. I would love to be able to walk through an airport on my own. I would love to be able to choose. Yeah, exactly. I would love to be able to choose where I walked, but I don't in those situations. So I'm really sorry, and I hope to see you guys later. We have a fan event at some point, hopefully. I love coming to Mexico for anything to do with the films I'm involved with. It's always the most, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here in front of you. It's like the most welcoming and absolutely passionate. So unabashedly happy, and that makes us really comfortable. And I'm sorry.
Have you tried Mexican food yet?
Sorry?
Have you tried Mexican food yet?
Oh, I grew up in Los Angeles, babe.
Muy bien, siguiente pregunta es de Emily Loza de Notas para ti.
Hola chicos, yo ahora quisiera preguntarle a Kristen que hay una escena en donde llega a la isla de las hadas y realmente muestran una cara sorprendida si ella se imaginaba este paisaje así, si creía que una tortuga iba a tener como plantas, no sé cómo se imaginaba y con qué. Ella dice que no creía en las princesas, sino con qué personaje se hubiera sentido bien.
Well, I don't think turtles can really sprout flowers out of their head. But I think it's really remarkable that Rupert presented it in a way that did feel like it could exist in some parallel universe. It was like pretending to be someone else and then allowing other people to watch you do it is ridiculous. And so it only works if you feel like you've got a responsibility to a world and to people that exist and that are really whole. And you know, the levity in the movie is so in your face. It so celebrates life that it took it a step further. It wanted, and you know, it's like we all have vivid imaginations, and you know, sometimes you can look at things and go, you see them to be more. I mean, they look more magical to you than they actually are in real life. And so I think that it's sort of everything in the movie. The Dark Forest is only really as scary as you imagine it to be. And so Snow White is, I think you probably see the story kind of through her eyes, and the Enchanted Forest just really offers a nice balance to the Dark Forest. It's like it is life, and you know, we're doing a fantasy movie, and so it's cool to push the, you know. It would be so boring if it was just a normal turtle. It wouldn't be as cool. It wouldn't be as beautiful.
Sam, tell us a little bit about your experience with CGI in this movie.
Well, like Kristen has already mentioned, there wasn't huge amounts of CGI that we kind of, you know, I don't know what the word is, sorry. But basically, Rupert had kind of created these worlds, you know, maybe during the sanctuary scenes where you do have all the bunnies, you know, it's quite hard to train that many bunnies to walk in time with each other, and to kind of go and look at this white stag with unicorn ears, you know, it's so obviously some elements do have to be kind of added on afterwards. But I think genuinely my only experience with that was when I was kind of fighting some imaginary birds. But yeah, so I mean, I never really kind of had to imagine, you know, there was no acting involved. Kind of turn up to work every day and you see the real castle and you can feel, you know, dirt between your toes. And yeah, it was a fantastic experience from start to finish.
La siguiente pregunta es de Fidel Corantes de Reforma.
Bueno, que...
Si le pueden acercar el micrófono.
Bueno, la próxima semana, Kristen, vas a estar en el Festival de Cannes presentando tu película On the Road. ¿Qué se siente a tus 22 años pues, vivir todas estas experiencias, ¿no? Pues, reconocimiento de la prensa, pasar por la alfombra roja, considerando que hace rato mencionabas que no te gusta tanto como compartir tu vida personal, porque al final de cuentas pues pierdes, ¿no?, tu esencia. Y para los dos también, si el final es este como ambiguo final que tiene la película, de no saber si al final se queda o está enamorada del cazador o se va a quedar con el príncipe, ¿qué final ellos le pondrían a la película?
I'll answer the second question first for you. Basically, what I kind of really enjoyed about this particular retelling of this story is that, you know, there are a lot of twists and turns, you know, unexpected moments that hopefully will surprise people. You know, you don't want to go and see the same film that, you know, that has been done 700 times before. What we've done here is we have, you know, we've discovered a lot of the storylines. The images are still there, the images that, you know, we're all familiar with, the apple, the kiss. These are things that we've all grown up kind of remembering and will always remember. And, you know, all those images are still very much alive and, you know, well in the story. the fact that the ending is left open-ended, you know, all I can say is I hope they do another one, you know, because I had so much fun doing this one. But you know, I think it. Did you not watch it till the end of the credits when the prince shoots the huntsman in the face? Then everyone lives happily ever after. No, I mean that's how I'd end it. But you know, who knows? Who knows what? I think what's amazing is it is left open-ended for people to make up their own minds or take whatever they want from it.
Yeah, I think with a story that you think that you know, it's really interesting to sort of feel like destiny is going to fail you. But always, you think, you know, Snow White ends up here, Snow White is so pure. The cool thing about our movie is it really humanizes the characters and puts it in a world that's just much more dangerous and sees if it can stand, sees if it can remain the fairy tale that you imagine. And it's cool when you watch something you think you know and then you go, oh, I think I just saw like a glitch in fate. And it's, you know, it's nice to see, it's nice to wonder, that's all. And yeah, about going to Cannes, and I've you know, I have to put myself in my body that day and really appreciate it, because I feel so strong. I know for a fact that if I look to my right or left, I'm going to feel amazing, even though obviously it's the ultimate place to get to as an actor, filmmaker, whatever. The reason I love my job is because I get to share this really like addictive, challenging, creative energy with people. You say, I like this, and then someone comes up and says, I like it too. Instantly, there's a bond. There's something, why? Why do we like it? Well, I want to figure it out. And so to celebrate there with those people, I can't tell you, like, I'm a nervous person, and I'm not nervous at all. And I don't think I'm going to lose my essence. I think I'm doing a pretty good job at not doing that. He said, like, you will lose your essence if you go to Cannes and you keep doing all this. I think there's a way to hold on to that. I think I actually said it in a previous answer.
Well, guys, you have a lot of physical things going on going back to the movie. In this movie, did you actually have any training, or was it you actually? Because we see you with a bow and arrows and stuff, and then we see you fighting, really kicking asses. So we want to know that.
Everything you do Snow White, everything you see Snow White do in the movie as well, a girl my size could do. That's what I love about it, is I'm not playing a superhero. I hurt myself so badly every single day, ran myself into the ground, and everyone, but the action, it has a lot of integrity. It stands. You never go, oh, come on. I mean, it's so much easier to root for someone who you think might fail. It was fun. I've also been looking for something for a while to like really challenge myself, but it's always so silly seeing a girl like running around busting the heads of 6-foot-tall men in armor. Like that would just never. I would never want to stand behind that. But so I still got to really challenge myself and not be like that.
I mean, for me, there was a huge amount of physical preparation. I mean, the part was very physically demanding, and I think the fact that I had to try and compete with Chris Hemsworth, who, you know, is Thor, was very, very tough. But, you know, luckily I had the opportunity to kind of work with some amazing stunt guys and, you know, horse experts and what have you, archery training, you know, the full shebang. You know, I definitely walked on and off set with bruises, you know, bumps, knocks, probably broken a few bones without even knowing it, I think, because every morning, you know, I'd have a bath the night before, kind of wanting to cry myself to sleep, and I'd wake up in the morning raring to go again. You know, I think when you love your job as much as, you know, I think pretty much all of us do. I think you can't help but love it and find it exciting to kind of get bruises. You know, they're battle scars. They truly do become battle scars, and it's something I walk, you know, away from and kind of feel very proud of. So.
My thumb is an entirely different shape than it was when I started.
And color.
Muy bien, la siguiente pregunta es de Noemí Trejo de CIO Noticias.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a México. La primera pregunta es para Kristen. ¿Cómo hacer de Blancanieves una mujer de acción? Y si pueden comentar los dos, ¿cómo fue trabajar con Charlize Theron?
think that when I started, I was really excited to learn all of the sword fighting, you know, full-on choreography fight scenes. I think I learned one, and as soon as the director saw it, he was like, no, let's tone that one down. You look like a ninja. That's not what we're after. I think to play somebody who doesn't actually seek the satisfaction in the action that she's carrying out. Usually you watch action movies, it's kill, kill, kill. It's really interesting to watch. All of my action is motivated by fear, and you know, this girl is not crippled by it. Every, you know, that flight or fight feeling, when it comes down to it, you would think Snow White in fear would go, it's for whatever reason, she's so delicate and so sweet and so ultimately who you think Snow White is, yet at that last moment, she doesn't go like this, she moves towards it. And that's why she's a leader, that's why she was born to do what she does. And I think the way we could make Snow White an action hero was to keep her the ultimately compassionate, but not supremely selfless. Like, she still is human, she still needs to really dig through this like mud pit to get to these really beautiful qualities, and you watch her do that. She doesn't have it in spades in the beginning. It's difficult for her to become Snow White, and so that was easy to get behind. And Charlize blows your hair back when she walks in a room. She has this energy that is just like, I mean, it is penetrating and not intimidating in a way that makes you feel bad about yourself. Like, I want to push back. I want to stand on my tiptoes around her. I really wanted to impress her the whole time, and that's how I always feel around actors that are really good. I've looked up to her obviously my entire life. She was the one sturdy, solid block standing in the middle of this movie saying it's probably going to be good. So it's kind of why I wanted to do the movie, and then in working with her, it was really awesome to see that it was like, wow, we do this for the same reasons. We're willing to hurt ourselves for the job. We're willing to, we want to get as close to the experience as we can. And I can tell you a lot of actors aren't like that. So I think that she does things for her. It's very clear that she does things for no one but her. And she's also really fun and hilarious. So.
I never actually crossed paths with Charlize on set. I mean, for obvious reasons, I did sort of observe her work, you know, kind of whilst I was approaching, you know, one particular scene. So just having the opportunity to kind of watch her in action, you know, you can't help but feel very lucky and privileged. You know, she's been somewhat an inspiration to a lot of upcoming actresses or whatever because of you know, her fantastic performances. And yeah, she doesn't mind looking ugly, you know, and for a beautiful girl, that's I'm sure that's very rare. But she, you know, she's not afraid of people not liking the character, or you know, but she always sort of finds a way of understanding why people are making those choices. And I think that the great thing is, especially you know, about both of them, both Snow White and Queen Ravenna, you know, both the actresses playing them, you know, they've approached it in such a strong way, and you know, I think it really shows on screen personally.
Alejandra García de TV Joven.
Hola, bueno, bienvenidos a México y bueno, nos gustaría escuchar alguna experiencia o un momento especial que vieron en el set durante la grabación de esta película, y también me gustaría saber si saben hablar español o alguna palabra que sepan.
¿Cómo está, Kristen?
¿Qué?
Muy bien. Quiero tequila. Taco.
I grew up in Los Angeles, so this is shameful. I think if there's one language that I could pick up like that, it would be Spanish. We go to all these different countries, and they ask you to do tags into the camera, and I can do it here really easily. Like the shape of it all makes a lot of sense to me. But then you find yourself in South Korea or anywhere, like even in Berlin. It was funny I couldn't say some of the stuff, but so it's silly and stupid that I don't know more.
I literally have, about 5 words maybe.
He was walking around saying like, muchas gracias, which is so Spanish. Like,
I'm very new to these tour things, right? And I'm pretty much one step behind everywhere I go. So I was in Spain saying Dankeschön, Dankeschön, and now, so I apologise for not picking it up quicker.
One day I'm like,
smash it. I don't know.
okay, I've got a good one. He looks very stunning and strapping and intimidating in armor when he's in the movie. But on set, oh lordy, he would lift up his right arm and just smack himself right in the head. He couldn't move anything. He literally was a walking turtle. Finish it off because the best story is definitely yours.
Okay, well, the armor was pretty much a very, very restricting costume, but again, I know that I'm lucky to have a job, let alone one like this, so I don't begin to complain about anything or anyone, So basically, I kind of get on set, Rupert, the director, says, Sam and Chris, I want you to ride your horses in the castle grounds, charge, jump off, get in a triangle, head, sort of big battle scene in the courtyard. I was like, yeah, totally, mate, yeah, wicked, let's go for it. I've never dismounted a horse, like, whilst it was still moving before, so, it was kind of very intimidating. Nonetheless, I charge in, I don't think about, slowing the horse down at all. So, my horse is pretty much at a full sprint right now. I try to swing my leg over, but obviously in the armour, I'm pretty much lying down on top of the horse. As I get my leg over the head, my other foot gets caught in the stirrup. My face hits the floor. It's very, thank God the armour actually, as restricting as it was, did break my fall. Face hits the floor, I kind of turn around, going, oh my God. And then the worst part about it was, not the fact I fell off the horse, it was the fact I turned around and see Chris Hemsworth kind of glide so glamorously off his it's like James Dean in a medieval scene, like, he was like so cool. All he was missing was a cigarette going, then Rupert saying, carry on, just keep going, guys. Sam, just please get up.
Turtle boy can't get up.
On the floor. Thank God for Chris Hemsworth, without him I probably wouldn't be standing today, so yeah, he kind of lifted me up. We tried to carry on, but I think the laughter was a bit too much.
That's my favorite word. Carry on!
Just keep going! I don't care if you've broken your neck, son! Get up and do it again! But yeah, so yeah, that's one of my favourites. I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life, I think.
Me too.
Abelardo Luzania de Multimedia.
Ok, esta pregunta es para los dos. ¿Qué piensan sobre la competencia que se dio este año entre Blanca y Nieves, hablando de la versión protagonizada por Julia Roberts, y cuál es la opinión que tienen ustedes sobre esta versión que ya muchos tuvimos oportunidad de ver? Y la segunda es para Kristen. Tú, en lo personal, ¿a quién elegirías? ¿Al príncipe, al cazador o a un vampiro?
The pressure is on right now.
Lily Collins is one of a very, really, really good friend of mine. We both found out that we got the jobs at very similar times as well. And, I don't have much of an opinion, to be honest. In order to play, that's such an outsider's view. We have to actually do this and live it, and I think we didn't ever start in this thinking like, oh, what impression are we going to leave with people? What are we going to? Obviously, you do a movie because it says something, and you know that if it affects you, it's going to affect other people. But it's, the main concern first and foremost is how it affects you. And I think that they're really different movies. I think that there's an audience for both. I think Lily did it, from what I can see, she did a really great job. And I think this is so much more of like, this is a fake story. This is like literally just something that people can write about and get hits on their website. It's not even, it doesn't even exist. They're two separate, very different movies. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the competition is what, you know, where that question falters, I suppose, just because I don't think there is competition. I mean, it's no different to like anything really. I think all it has is a character called Snow White in both, and that's about it. You know?
The story is so, originally the story is, it could never be a movie. It's tiny, it's very short. Whoever was going to tell it in a film version needed to elaborate a lot, and we just did it in really different ways. And I think, well, definitely the prince. Come on.
I'd personally go for the vampire. Just, he'll live forever, you know.
Cristina dice quién.
Hello guys, welcome to Mexico, and this is for Kristen. It's nice to hear that you know a lot of things about Mexican culture. I know your mom is working with a Mexican actress called Katie Castillo, so I was wondering if you are planning to, or would you like to work with a Mexican actress or actor?
Can you say the first part again? Because I was listening to someone speak Spanish in my ear, yet you were speaking English.
Well, practically that is really nice, and it's good to hear that you know a lot of things about our culture, so welcome, and we're glad to hear that.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. Not to say that it's a funny question. Oh, how do I answer this? Not to say that I don't identify with a ton of different individuals within every different culture, but there is something about growing up in Los Angeles that just, I mean, we're so close. I've grown up in school, like every half my class, way more than half my class is their parents were from Mexico. So I do feel really very much like pissed off that I can't go hang out in Mexico City right now because it's so dangerous. We're not allowed to, and it's like, it's kind of the one, yeah, I feel like it's so close to me that it's not fair, but it's okay. Yeah, I would definitely love to work with a Mexican actress or actor. I really want to work with Alejandro Inarritu-Gonzalez. Dying to do it. So he's Mexican.
Andrea Malpica de Cine Premier.
It's really a question for both of you. Most people have the story of Snow White in their classic shelves, and whether it's Disney's 1937 version or the Grimm Brothers version, how does it feel that you're playing such an iconic character, well, both of you, the Prince and Snow White, and giving them a new face? Do you think people will like more of this version of the character?
I think my character is probably the one that's potentially changed the most. I think from the story that we all know and love. I mean, the guy was a bit of a wet fart, to be honest. Like he'd kind of walk in, kiss a girl, and everyone lives happily ever after. And it's not just he gets around, this guy. Like I mean, he turns up in Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. So I think he hangs around the woods waiting for someone to die and then kisses them. Like, pretty good life. But I mean, the fact that there wasn't much about him that anyone was familiar with, and he was very straight-laced and very clean-shaven and very, handsome. So I kind of got as far away from as possible what Rupert did by casting me. What's been incredible is being able to kind of find that darkness, that grittiness to a character that people are familiar with and most women fell in love with, and kind of turn it on its head. He's still a good guy, he's still a very charming man. He just doesn't really have the opportunity to charm many women, really. But it's a privilege for me to kind of play an iconic character, but that has been somewhat flipped upside down. Hopefully people will be able to sort of look at this film and say, that's a more realistic man. A guy that, if his father died, would have to lead an army into battle, to save his land. He has to be able to defend himself. He has to have backbone. be a man. So I think yeah, you know, hopefully people look up to him as an icon. I don't know. The problem is, like I say, he's always got the huntsman to compete with.
Oh.
But you know. But yeah.
I think it would have been really impossible to hop on Snow White's train if all she did was chirp at her birds and clean house. I think that back when Disney did it, it was really important and really valued by men and women to be that ultimate caretaker, maternal figure, and it was really strong. And it's just that we luckily, we do more than that now. We've progressed, and I think that we stay really true to who Snow White is. And so I think that it will be much easier to accept all of her, hopefully not ideal, but really pure qualities. I think it'll be easier to accept them rather than just think that it exists in a fake world. We test her, but we don't betray her. So yeah, I think it's a really, not to sound totally pretentious, but it's very modern, the take that we have.
La siguiente pregunta es de Miss Gil de Cine en Línea.
Hi, welcome Sam, Mexico. Kristen, welcome back to Mexico and here. Well, my first question is, how was work, Sam, with Kristen, and Kristen, how was work with Sam? And my second question is, which is your favorite scene of this movie?
Favorite what?
Scene.
You know what? Like, it's a nightmare. No, the thing is, not just with Kristen, you know, with the likes of all the dwarfs, with Chris, with Shanice. This
mainly with me.
Yeah, but just with Kristen. No, you know, I've kind of grown up watching these guys on the big screen. These are like basically the reason I've got into this industry in the first place. You know, having the opportunity to work with someone who is so young and so talented, it's like, you know, she's very driven, she's very focused, and I hate to kind of big her ego up, but the fact is, she you know, she knows what she wants, and she goes and gets it, and she doesn't give a sugar dumps who's in the way. It's amazing to see, because she must be so inspirational to so many girls. You know, I never kind of grew up being a girl, so it's quite tough for me to sort of look at this, but I can pretty much guarantee that she's the inspiration for a lot of girls' dreams and hopes. You know, she's very inspirational. She's young, but at the same time, she's driven. She's hardworking. She's very professional and a normal girl, which I think is probably one of her star qualities.
Okay, so Sam is. Yeah, not to take the focus off like personal whatever, but the whole team would have done anything for it and for the movie. And I think it's really important. Like, you know, Sam is he sort of has this thing all the time, like this wide-eyed sort of, wow, I don't really know where I am, but I'm always like, please, you know exactly where you are. You're so present, and he's so steady and. I mean, like, you know, it's sweet and modest or whatever, but at the same time, it's like he was sort of born to do it. And it's not easy for people who've not done too many projects to just step onto something so big and keep up, like, I mean, not keep up, but literally, like, lead the way in some cases. Like, as he said, the prince can't be what you imagine him to be. He needs to feel reliable. And you can't act that. Sam is very reliable. He's a steady, he is a man. And I was really happy that he was my prince. No. And he's really funny and stuff, so it's fun to be on set and something like that.
And what was your favorite scene from the movie?
I mean, it's quite hard to pinpoint one particular scene, because I think, you know, I mean, my first day on set was like my character's entrance, which, you know, looking back at the film, I think you could probably tell that was my first day. I think I was lucky that I kind of got pushed straight into the deep end and was able to kind of really get my teeth stuck in straight away, you know. And luckily, you know, the film continued at that high level, at that high intensity, and I always felt like I needed to put as much as much effort into every other scene as I did for that one particular scene. It was very physically demanding, mentally straining, but you know, and the other scene personally, I think, because it's the only scene I really actually talked in, was the scene that I had with Kristen, which, you know, I don't want to ruin anything if people haven't seen it, but walking through the, you know, the forest. That for me was a great opportunity to kind of play at something that wasn't the norm, you know, wasn't normal, and yeah, it was just it was thrilling for me to be able to play around with a character like that.
I think my favorite scene was actually the one that tortured me the most. We threw out and rewrote 500 versions of the big rousing speech at the end of the movie, and I think at the end of the day, it probably doesn't even make sense. It just feels right. It just sort of explodes out of somewhere that existed from a place that had experienced everything in the movie. It was the last thing that we shot. And so I think it was really important that we had walked every mile. And it felt so good. I mean, it didn't feel silly to me. It didn't feel silly to say, you know, who will be my brother? And have a bunch of men actually want to stand behind you and follow you. Like that, the original version of the speech always was very straightforward and very much like an imitation of something you've heard before. It was very Bravehearty, and we are not Braveheart. And so I think doing that night was like so visceral. It was the closest. I experienced it. It was like I needed to fight for it. I needed to convince the whole crew. I needed to convince everyone that that it was worth it, that I was worth it. And so it felt real. It felt like a genuine experience. I think if at the end of that I didn't feel like everyone agreed with me, I would have ruined the movie, and that would have killed me.
Seriously, just going back to what I was saying about how driven Kristen is and how you know, talented. Basically, that was the coldest night, I think, in English history. It was absolutely freezing. Everyone was standing there, like the girl was wearing like a nightie and like no shoes and was walking, and take one, take two, take three. I mean, I'm pretty sure the director could have taken any single one of those takes and just gone, do you know what, this is amazing. Seriously, it was one of my proudest moments of someone, you know. I think it was just like, no, I know, I'm not just saying that because she's here either. But seriously, she absolutely smashed it, like take after take after take, and change it up, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, the director was spoiled for choice, and you know, no, well done, and I'm pretty sure everyone will agree.
Muy bien, vámonos con la última pregunta. Es de Fernando Zavala, del Mercurio.
Hola, tengo una pregunta para ambos. Kristen, tú dijiste que una de las razones que te gustaba de esta película, una de las cosas que más te gustaba de esta película era la acción que tenía. Dentro de eso, y viendo la escasez que hay en este momento de estrellas femeninas de acción, ¿te gustaría experimentar, digamos, ese lado, ser una estrella femenina de acción? Y para Sam, luego que se estrene esta película, la mayoría del mundo te va a haber conocido por dos grandes superproducciones de Hollywood. Dentro de Hollywood, ¿es el camino que te gustaría seguir tu carrera o también te gustaría combinar producciones también más pequeñas? Eso, gracias.
There has to be a reason for every story that you're telling. It's hard for me to say, I hate genres. I hate calling something a comedy or an action movie or something. It's like, you know, when things happen in life that are sad and you do a movie about it, you're going to call it a drama. But within that, shit's funny. Stuff happens that makes you laugh. And so what is it now? It's a dark comedy? It's like, it's an outsider's perspective. It's you know, I can do a movie, step out of it, look back and go, oh yeah, it is an action movie, or oh yeah, it's funny, it's comedy. And other people definitely can say that, but it needs to come from a place that feels like the story is worth being told. And there is definitely a need right now, like there's an obvious desire for strong females, you know, in action movies. But I think that the coolest way to do it is to like I said before, you know, really get down to how a woman can be strong. I mean, a strong woman's not always the one on the forefront of of a group desperately trying to assert herself, and we're not built to be physically strong. Our strengths are in our steadiness and in trusting yourself. And so if you could find that within an action movie, definitely. But I'm not too into the idea of just running around killing people for the sake of it. There has to be something behind it. There's got to be a reason.
And with regards to my choices I've made so far, they haven't really been choices. Like, I finished drama school like 2 years ago, and I think Pirates of the Caribbean just came out of nowhere. Like, it was the only audition I did last year, pretty much, and luckily got it. And I was hardly going to sort of turn that down. I thought I was going to be playing trees in pantomimes for the rest of my life, but having the opportunity to kind of work with some of the industry's greats and filming in Hawaii, I was kind of ticked a few boxes, definitely. And this following up, it was very important to me that I wanted to kind of, I jumped at the chance, but what was important to me was that, I kind of didn't play the same character that I just played, in Pirates. And basically, I remember talking to Rupert, and one of the earlier drafts, there was not too many dissimilar characteristics about the two, and I kind of started crying a little bit, going, I don't know if I want to do this again. I'm just going to be playing Philip, but instead of a mermaid, I've got Snow White. So I'm definitely, obviously, not complaining, but I do now want to kind of get away from this fantastical world a little bit. So I do have a few things in the works and lined up, and fingers crossed everything can work out. But they are a lot, different to this. But again, exactly. There's been things I've done, and it's been important to me that I kind of do a lot of character work. And then between Pirates and this, I've done a TV series where I kind of got to explore a character over 6 episodes, and also a TV film, based on a real person. So I kind of am dipping my toes in other oceans already, just because internationally, I'm not as known for anything else other than this and Pirates. Like, doesn't mean I'm not keeping busy and keeping my head down and challenging myself, and I want to kind of continue to do that, and hopefully, yeah.
Thank you guys, thank you very much. Enjoy your stay in Mexico.
Muchas gracias.